Ó a bichona. Ó a cabeça dela.
What is that?
What would you do if you checked your trail camera and something was already watching you? Or you came back to camp and found proof that something had been inside your tent while you were gone? These aren't stories. These are documented encounters. Which one would have sent you home? A woman was out on a mountain trail, riding her bike with her dog beside her. The path was narrow and ran close to a sharp drop-off. She was moving carefully along the edge when things went wrong.
Hola.
Her bike lost grip without warning and began sliding toward the steep drop. For a second, it looked like she was going over. She managed to stop before that happened. One wrong move there could have ended badly. Trails like this leave almost no room for error. What would you have done in that moment? This next clip comes from a Reddit user named Chobi, who posted about something he and a friend ran into while camping out in the woods. The two of them were near their truck, sitting by a fire late at night, when they heard something moving behind them. By the time they figured out what it was, there was no time to react. They stayed still and kept quiet.
It's shone up a little bit. Yeah, it just shone up a bit. I can't see it. He's looking in your corner.
What's he looking at?
The
Draw
system.
If they have biltong in there, why?
A hyena was circling their truck, likely pulled in by the smell of food. It seemed more curious than aggressive, but that didn't make the situation any less tense. Hyenas are genuinely dangerous animals. They are strong, intelligent, and highly opportunistic. Their bite force is among the highest of any mammal, capable of crushing bone, estimated at around 1,000 pounds per square inch, which is roughly 2 to 3 times stronger than a lion's bite relative to size. Not something anyone would want to test up close. The hyena moved around the camp for a while, then left on its own. The encounter ended without incident, but it's not the kind of thing you'd want to become a regular occurrence. Animals like this usually avoid people until something pulls them in close. What do you think drew it to that camp that night? A man was kayaking on a calm lake when he spotted a group of people standing together, all focused on the same thing. There, coiled up and sitting still, was a massive anaconda.
Ó a bichona.
The kayakers moved carefully, keeping their distance while watching it. Anacondas are known to reach extraordinary sizes, so a sighting like this isn't impossible in the right region. Do you think what he saw was real? This clip comes from Exploring with Bear, a US-based channel built around solo camping and wilderness survival in remote wooded areas. The channel regularly documents strange disturbances and unexplained activity as they happen. The date is February 27, 2026. The location is a remote woodland campsite near a lake in Canada. He comes back expecting a quiet return, not another incident. This isn't a first visit, it's a follow-up. And that's an important detail, because the baseline from the previous night is already known. The first thing that stands out is the tent. Still standing but zipped shut. That's the change, because it wasn't left that way. Inside, nothing is destroyed or thrown around. Things are just shifted. That difference matters. Something had been left inside the tent. The next detail is the coffee percolator. Still there, but not complete. Internal parts are gone, not broken, not knocked over, just removed. That kind of change requires direct contact and some level of selectivity, whatever the source.
Here's where it happened, though. You can still tell there was a scuffle here. That's where something was killed, right here.
That's super duper creepy in itself, because that is awfully close to the campsite.
Oh, there's a bone. Holy smokes, man, that's a big bone.
This bone was like cut. That looks like it was cut. Is that a person bone? Or a big, big animal? Where's the rest of it?
That's crazy, man.
Then comes the clearest sign of interaction. An apple that had been left on a tree now had a bite taken out of it. Something made direct contact with an object that was deliberately placed.
Found some monster. Dog, wolf, dog, man tracks, maybe. Any tracks? Oh, that's right. There was remains down here, too. Right by the wolf tracks.
Man, I didn't even think about that when I was camping here the other night. I forgot about that.
Right in here, something was killed as well, with huge dog man or wolf.
After that, a sudden sound near the vehicle, something in the woods, close enough to interrupt movement but gone before anything could be confirmed.
It sounded like a stick snapped by our camp.
This place is so scary. It's daylight, and this still has me on edge, and I can see everything around me right now. And I'm armed.
Then the tent again, secured. And inside, a single written word, lucky. He did not leave it. That's the detail that changes everything. Because this is no longer just about something being present. It's about something leaving a message. There was also water inside the tent, with no clear explanation for how it got there.
Oh! That was a rock clank! 2 rock clanks!
There's 2 different things knocking out there right now, too. 2 rock clanks. What is that? It's like it's just banging on a tree. They left a message.
1 word, lucky.
That's not a woodpecker. Woodpeckers are fast, I think. What is that?
A black cat crossed his path shortly after. On its own, that means nothing. But inside this sequence, it becomes one more thing that doesn't quite fit. What makes this case different is that it doesn't rest on a single moment. It builds through a series of connected details, altered objects, missing components, physical traces, direct interaction with placed items, and then written communication. Individually, each thing here could be explained away. Together, they stop looking like coincidence. By the end, the question isn't just what happened. It's what kind of thing leaves that specific pattern behind. Something came into that campsite more than once, touched specific objects, and left just enough behind to confirm it was there, without ever showing itself. What do you think left that message? While hiking near King's Cliff in Somerset late at night, someone recorded something that's hard to explain. In the distance, a pale humanoid figure is visible standing among the trees. The person who shot the footage believed it could be a ghost. When the image was zoomed in close to 500%, there were no obvious signs of editing. The pixelation matched the rest of the image consistently. Some say it's just shadows or a lighting effect. The person who filmed it disagrees. It could be a lot of things: a figure, a shadow, a coincidence. But the footage holds up under close inspection, and that's what keeps the debate open. What do you think was standing in those trees? A volunteer diver named Juan Herrera was called in to help after 3 hikers went missing near a remote waterfall in California. The group had been exploring Rattlesnake Falls when 3 of them entered the water and never came back up. The area is known for strong currents, deep pools, and dangerous conditions below the surface. After days of searching, Herrera hiked out to the remote site and began diving into the freezing water, which reached nearly 50 feet deep. He located all 3 men underwater, one by one. Their families finally had answers. Places like this can look calm on the surface while hiding serious hazards underneath. What do you think should be done to prevent tragedies like this from happening again? A Reddit user known as the Saddest Potato was hiking through a quiet stretch of woods when they came across something that didn't belong there. Laid out on the forest floor was a blackboard covered in unusual symbols, papers filled with handwritten notes, and a small dagger pushed through the center of it all. It looked like some kind of ritual arrangement, and it didn't appear to be old. They moved in for a closer look, picking up parts of it and examining the details. The symbols didn't follow any recognizable pattern. The notes looked like they could be coded. Some people who saw it said it was probably harmless. Others weren't so sure. Hard to say whether it was someone's odd project or something with a more serious purpose. Either way, finding something like that alone in the woods is unsettling. Would you have touched it or walked away? A man was walking home late at night and chose to cut through the area beneath an old wooded bridge, a spot with a local reputation for being haunted. As he moved into the shadow underneath, something felt off. He lifted his camera and slowly scanned the darkness. Then a red face framed by tangled black hair appeared from the gloom, looking directly at him. It stayed still for a moment, then disappeared. Even if the footage turns out to be staged, it's still deeply unsettling to watch. There's no clean explanation for what appeared under that bridge. What do you think was looking back at him? A man was out filming at an unknown location when he came across something that made him stop completely. On the ground in front of him was a strange figure that looked almost alien in appearance. At first, it was completely still. He wasn't sure what he was looking at, so he kept the camera rolling and held his position. After a few moments, the figure appeared to shift slightly. The footage doesn't give enough away to make a firm call in either direction. Something about it feels off, but nothing in the video definitively confirms what it actually is. What do you think he found out there? A man came face to face with death after encountering a massive mother black bear with cubs hidden in the trees during his hike along the Appalachian Trail Conservancy. The tense encounter begins with him filming his walk when he suddenly freezes after spotting something between the trees.
That wasn't a Florida bear. Oh, there he is right over here. All right, buddy. All right. There you are. I'm going.
After seeing the large bear staring back at him, he halts and carefully steps back a few inches to collect himself.
Just see what this bear wants to do, because we're getting close to the point where I'm gonna have to use force.
Despite the danger, he decides to continue forward as slowly as possible, hoping not to alarm the protective mother as he passes by.
I'm going this way. You just stay where you're at. There you go. There you go, buddy. You stay where you're at.
Thankfully, the bear allows him to move along safely without incident. A Reddit user known as Places Forgotten was hiking alone when they came across an abandoned school in Fukushima, Japan. The building had been left untouched since the 2011 earthquake, tsunami, and nuclear disaster. They went inside. Classrooms still had backpacks and personal belongings sitting exactly where they were left. The whole place felt frozen. As they moved through the halls taking photos, one of the last images caught something unexpected. A humanoid figure standing at the end of a hallway. Some say it was probably another person, or just a trick of the light. But in a place that's been sealed off for years, either explanation raises its own questions. If someone else was there, why didn't they say anything? What do you think was standing at the end of that hall? A woman stepped outside her house one afternoon and stopped when she noticed something in a nearby tree. A strange figure was sitting up there, completely still, watching her. She grabbed her phone and started recording. Some people thought it could be an otherworldly presence observing from above. Others suggested it might just be someone hiding in the branches. Without more details, there's no way to say for certain what it was. Something was up in that tree, and it was looking directly at her. What do you think she saw? A family was spending time in the woods when their young child stopped and pointed at something in the distance. The parents looked over and couldn't make sense of what they were seeing. They pulled out a phone and zoomed in. Standing among the trees was a pale humanoid figure, completely still, facing them. It looked like a mummy. They considered whether it was a wrapped mannequin left there to scare people, or someone in a costume. No explanation was ever confirmed. What do you think it was? A wildlife photographer was exploring a snow-covered roadside in Canada after a recent storm, when she spotted something unusual near a wooden pole. From a distance, it looked like a coyote just standing there. As she got closer, she realized it wasn't moving at all. The animal had died mid-stride, its body fully preserved by the freezing temperatures. It looked like it had simply stopped in place. Some believe the extreme cold was enough to cause it. Others aren't convinced that's the full explanation. What do you think actually happened to that coyote? In April 2010, an American named Aubrey Sacco began a solo trek through Langtang National Park in Nepal. She had been traveling across Asia for months and stayed in regular contact with her family. The hike was meant to be one last trip before going home. Aubrey started on April 21st. At first, everything looked normal. She was seen along the trail, checked in at multiple points, and spent time at a tea house called Namaste, talking with locals and other travelers. The next day, she pushed further into the valley. She was reportedly spotted near Lama Hotel, higher up the trail. After that, no one confirmed seeing her again. When she stopped contacting her family and never returned, a large search began. Her father and brother flew to Nepal. Local guides, villagers, police, the Nepali army, and U.S. officials all joined in. Teams searched riverbanks, mountain slopes, forests, caves, monasteries, and the full trail for weeks, then months. Nothing definitive was ever found. Several theories came up over the years. Some thought she fell into the Langtang River, which runs close to the trail. Others suspected foul play. There had already been safety concerns about solo female trekkers in the area. A few men were detained at one point but later released when the claims fell apart. No physical evidence ever explained what happened. Langtang is a well-traveled route with checkpoints the whole way through, yet nothing was ever confirmed. Someone just walked in and never came out. What do you think happened to her? In 2007, a recording came out of Dudleytown, Connecticut, a long-abandoned settlement that has since been closed off and is no longer open to the public. Over time, the area developed a strong reputation as one of the most haunted locations in the country. Some local stories describe it as cursed, and historical accounts suggest it may have once carried meaning for the Mohawk Nation, adding another layer to its already unsettling background. Even with the area restricted and warnings in place, people were still drawn to it. Some continued attempting to get close, hoping to encounter something they couldn't explain. In this case, a landowner living near the site started noticing something odd at the edge of the woods. A dark figure kept appearing among the trees. To find out what was causing it, he pointed a camera at the tree line and left it running. The footage that came back spread quickly across the internet. It triggered a wide range of reactions and theories about what had actually been recorded there.
Hi, it's me again. Just to let you know, I've seen that thing again. I'm in the backyard. I've got the camera on. I'm trying to capture it. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to see if I can get it. Anyway, give me a call when you get this message. Bye. No. What is that? No way. Yeah, it's me. I've just seen that thing. I've actually got it on camera. I'll show you when you get home. Give me a call as soon as you get this message.
It's also worth noting that these woods had already carried a haunted reputation long before this incident. After the footage was taken in 2007, it was reportedly submitted to the Institute of Forensic Parapsychology for review. Following a thorough examination by specialists, the recording was officially classified as unexplained. In online discussions, a large portion of viewers sided with that conclusion. Many comments pointed to the footage as possible real evidence of paranormal activity. A restricted, historically loaded site, a figure no one could identify, and analysts who couldn't explain it either. Not much was ruled out. So what do you think was moving in those trees? This video was posted on a TikTok account called Beyond Your Nightmares. A hiker had just reached the start of a trail when she got a strong feeling of being watched. She stayed near the car and pointed the camera toward a rustling sound coming from nearby. Something was clearly there, but the footage wasn't sharp enough to identify it. When reviewed more closely, a dark figure appeared, with what looked like a pair of eyes. Some thought it could be a bear. Others, especially those familiar with cryptids, said the shape looked more like an upright dog-like figure. Dark shape, visible eyes, no clear answer. What do you think was out there? Linda Dewey and her niece Natalie Graves were hiking together near the Coxcomb Trailhead in Wayne County, Utah. The two regularly visited the area, spending time among the hills and cliffs and enjoying each other's company. But that Wednesday, the hike ended in tragedy. Police later found both women dead near the trailhead. Investigators identified the suspect as 33-year-old Ivan Miller. He had no prior connection to either woman. According to investigators, he had been targeting their vehicle. Miller was subsequently charged with multiple counts of aggravated murder. The danger didn't come from the wilderness. What do you think is harder to prepare for? The unexpected people you meet, or everything else the trail throws at you? A Reddit user going by the name Typical Adeptness 2484 was driving alone through the abandoned Badger Army ammunition plant when he took a wrong turn and ended up near a cluster of old, overgrown structures. While looking around the area, something caught his eye. Sticking out of the ground was what appeared to be a human head mounted on a pole. He assumed it was fake, but in a place like that, it didn't sit right. Looking further, he spotted a house deeper in the woods with smoke rising from it, suggesting someone might actually be inside. Then he heard a distant shout. He couldn't make out the words. He didn't wait around. He left quickly. An abandoned military site, something mounted in the ground, and signs that someone was nearby. None of it had an obvious explanation. What do you think was really going on out there? The next video comes from Natalie Outdoors, a UK-based solo wild camping creator who documents overnight stays in remote woodland locations. It was recorded on April 19, 2026, in Drumcora Forest, United Kingdom. This one sets the tone before anything even happens. Before she enters the forest, there is already context in place. Online reports referencing claims of devil worship, disappearances, and unsettling energy in the area. That matters, because it shapes how everything that follows gets interpreted. She isn't walking into a neutral space. She's walking into somewhere already framed as dangerous, and that framing stays with her throughout.
Can you hear that? I was just up there recording it all. Like, look at this. Absolutely gorgeous. All the moss. And then next minute, freaky deaky singing coming from that direction. There could well be devil worshippers. Oh, there's so many trees down.
At one point, a sound comes from a nearby direction. It's brief, not loud enough to confirm anything, not clear enough to identify the source, but it's distinct enough to stop her in her tracks. That's the moment the experience shifts from background noise to something that feels deliberate, at least from her point of view.
What is that? I hope no one's watching me right now because that was embarrassing. My days. See if Sheree falls on me.
More sounds follow after that. Rustling movement, unclear origins. Each one on its own could have a simple explanation. But they keep coming, one after another, close together. That pattern is what changes things. Once sounds start stacking up, they stop feeling like separate, unrelated events. She begins to wonder directly whether someone is nearby, whether she's being watched. Nothing has been confirmed at this point, but her interpretation has already moved well beyond the sounds themselves.
So, I shouldn't be in here, but here I am. Get off. So, technically, I'm trespassing right now. The Mourns is up there behind me. The Creepy Forest is that way. And there's a little patch of grass right down there where I am going to try and pitch my tent. I can hear people.
During the night, the same pattern returns. Rustling near the tent, close enough to react to. But this time, she reassesses. Likely an animal. Same kind of sound, different conclusion. That shift is the key detail. By morning, everything is quiet. No follow-through, no continuation. And that silence reframes the whole night. Not because nothing happened, but because nothing was ever anchored to anything solid. It's a clear example of how fast expectation and environment can combine to make a place feel like something is there, even when nothing ever shows itself. So, do you think the forest was genuinely unsettling, or did what she already knew shape everything she experienced? a 25-year-old British traveler named Eli Sweeting from Bristol set out alone on a hike in New Zealand's Fiordland National Park. His destination was Mitre Peak, a steep and demanding mountain that rises above Milford Sound. Eli was an experienced climber, comfortable with difficult terrain. In May 2025, he headed out onto the mountain and never returned. When he didn't come back that evening, authorities were notified, and a search operation started quickly. Police, rescue teams, and local volunteers all took part. Helicopters, drones, and infrared equipment were used to scan the mountain. At one point, a light was detected on the slope, briefly raising hopes, but nothing was confirmed. Mitre Peak is known for sheer cliffs, thick vegetation, and unpredictable conditions that can catch even seasoned hikers off guard. The search was repeatedly slowed, and at times halted entirely, due to the dangerous environment. Days passed without any confirmed trace of Eli. His family eventually traveled from the UK to assist, holding on to the possibility that he might still be found. As time went on, that became harder to hold. What happened to Eli Sweeting on that mountain has never been confirmed. He was experienced, the search was extensive, and still nothing solid was found. What do you think could cause someone with that level of experience to simply vanish? On March 3, 2026, a TikTok user was taking a night walk through Berlin when she began hearing strange sounds echoing through the area. The noise was unfamiliar, almost mechanical, but with something off about it that was hard to place. She recorded it and tried to trace where it was coming from. Even after listening back several times, she couldn't identify the source. When the clip was posted online, opinions split. Some viewers pointed to machinery or industrial equipment as the likely cause. Others leaned towards something they couldn't explain. No clear answer was ever confirmed. Mechanical noise in a city at night usually has a source, but this one didn't. What do you think she was actually hearing? A journalist named Alec Loon set out alone on a 4-day hiking trip through Fogafana National Park in southern Norway, an area known for its glaciers, steep terrain, and unpredictable conditions. When he didn't show up for his return flight and stopped responding to messages, his family knew something had gone wrong. A large search operation was launched, with the Norwegian Red Cross and rescue teams covering the remote landscape over several days. For a while, there was nothing. Then a helicopter crew spotted him. He was found near the glacier, conscious but exhausted, with an injured leg. After days alone in the wilderness, he was airlifted out. Despite everything, he was reported to be in relatively good condition. For his family, it was an enormous relief. Days stranded, injured, and completely alone in glacier terrain, yet he survived. What do you think kept him going long enough to be found? Someone was out exploring a rugged landscape when they came across a large rock formation. From a distance, it appeared to form a clear side profile of a human face. The longer they looked, the harder it was to dismiss. Some say it's just a natural illusion, the brain finding familiar shapes in random patterns. Others have pointed to something far less ordinary, with some even bringing up the idea of giants. No one has settled on an explanation. A rock that looks like a face and no clear reason why. What do you think shaped it that way? A hiker was moving through a dense forest when he got the feeling of being watched. He raised his camera and took a photo. Something was there, partially hidden behind a tree, tucked into the underbrush. A large, broad-shouldered figure with what looked like a grin on its face. Many suggested Bigfoot, but what people couldn't shake wasn't the size, it was the smile. Whatever it was appeared to know it was being watched. Large, hidden, and grinning. What do you think was standing behind that tree? A man named Rodney was out alone in the wilderness, recording footage of the surrounding area. He didn't notice anything unusual at the time. Later, while going back through the footage, he spotted something. In the upper left corner of the frame, a figure was visible in the bushes, partially hidden, just barely showing. It was distant, but the shape looked deliberate, not like a bear. Something was there that he never noticed while filming. What do you think it was? A 27-year-old hiker named Cole Henderson set out alone in Spain's Ordesa y Monte Perdido National Park, a high-altitude area in the Pyrenees known for steep terrain and unpredictable conditions. On July 9th, he parked in the small mountain town of Torla, sent a message saying he was starting his hike and switching to airplane mode. After that, there was no further contact. When Cole missed his flight back to the Netherlands on July 12th, concern grew quickly. By July 14th, he was officially reported missing. Spanish rescue teams, helicopters, drones, and mountain specialists launched a large search, focusing on routes toward Monte Perdido, one of the highest and most dangerous peaks in the area. The trails were still covered in snow at the time, making conditions especially hazardous. Weeks passed with no sign of him. Then in early August, searchers made a discovery. Cole's body was found in a remote, hard-to-reach section of the mountain, well off any marked trail. The terrain was so difficult that a helicopter crane was needed to recover him. It's believed he may have attempted a demanding route under dangerous conditions. A fit, experienced hiker on a well-known trail, and still the mountain didn't give him a way back. What do you think went wrong out there? Glenn Thorman, the fire chief of East Jordan, Michigan, was at his cabin one night when his motion-activated security camera went off. He checked the footage and found a bright, hazy figure hovering above his pickup truck. The shape was roughly human, surrounded by what looked like luminous, wing-like forms spreading outward. He shared the images with a local pastor, who believed it showed an angelic presence. Many people agreed, comparing it to traditional depictions of Archangel Michael, a security camera, no tampering claimed, and a shape no one could explain away easily. What do you think was hovering above that truck? That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.